Good morning. I'm Julia McClusick. This is my behavioral change project, and I was working on changing sleep patterns. So, there's a lot of theories and research behind behavioral changes. One of them is the stages of change model. So, there's 5 stages in behavioral change, and if you're successful in changing your behavior, then you normally will go through each of these 5 stages. So the first is pre-contemplation. So you're unaware of the issue, you have no intention to change, maybe you don't even know that you have an issue. The next is contemplation. So you become aware of the problem, maybe somebody brought it to your attention, or you realize you're not really feeling all that great about life and you want to change something. So you start considering that change, but you don't really have that commitment yet. And then the third is the preparation stage. So you start thinking that you want to make this change. You're gathering information about how you would go about it. You start planning what you're going to do. 50% of the people who attempt behavior change, if they skip this preparation stage, they will relapse within 21 days. This makes a lot of sense to me because if you just jump right into a problem and don't have a plan, then you're not going to know how to follow through with it. Um, the fourth step is the action stage. So you start modifying your experiences, your behaviors, and your environment to encourage your change. So, for example, like an experience for my personal sleeping pattern, maybe I want to go experience a party late at night to keep me up and prevent me from sleeping. I would create a more relaxing routine. I would go to bed earlier. I would have less screen time. That's changing my behavior and my environment. You can also remove yourself from like a noisy environment. If you're living with noisy neighbors or something, go sleep somewhere else. Those are just some examples to help you change your behavior. And then the fifth is maintenance. So you're just keeping up those actions and everything that you need to do to continue that behavioral change and keep it going and hopefully create a habit out of it. For me, I really jumped right into being aware that there was a problem. When we were asked to do this project, sleep came right to my head. I already knew that it was an issue, and I worked on planning how I was going to do that right away. So the next is theory of planned behavior. This states that behavioral achievement depends on both motivation, so your intention to do something, and then your ability, so your actual physical ability to do something. And there's 6 components to it. So the first is your attitude towards it. Do you even like the idea of changing this habit? If you don't want to or like to do it, then you're not going to want to follow through with it. Your social influence. Does your family and friends or people in your community know that you're going about this change? Are they positive towards it and helping you with it, or is it making it harder if they don't support you? Because it's really hard to make a change without the support of others and them encouraging you along the way. Subjective norms. So this kind of goes in with social influence. What does society think about your behavior? Is it a norm in society? Do people in society approve or disapprove of it? It's kind of hard to want to change a behavior if society doesn't approve of it. Then the perceived power and control of it. Do you believe that you have the actual ability and power to change these actions? Then all of those 3 things go into your behavioral intention. So the motivational factors that influence a given behavior, where that means like the stronger intention and motivation that you have for a behavior, then the more likely behavior will be performed, because if you don't have that initial intent to do something, then you're not going to do it. And then the last is all of these things go together to actually carry out the behavior and doing the actions that are needed to change the behavior. So my actual actions and progress, I based it on the planned behavior theory. So I definitely failed at changing my sleeping patterns. The first part of this theory is your attitude towards it. And I definitely had an interest in changing this behavior, like I talked about. In my first presentation, I talked about all the benefits of changing your sleep patterns and getting the best amount of sleep, which is 7 to 9 hours. And I really wanted to feel better about myself because I don't really always feel great, and I'm sure that it has something to do with sleep. Um, People in our society get less than 7 hours of sleep every night. It's a norm to not sleep a lot, especially in college. So, being a college student, that didn't help my case. I also didn't tell my family or friends that I was doing this, so I didn't have the support needed to help me change. If I would have told them, or if I studied maybe earlier in the week so that I wasn't up doing late hours of studying, then it probably would have helped me a lot more. I knew if I took the necessary actions, I could change my behavior, but it's hard to carry out the actions. I was really highly motivated at first, and I was doing everything that I needed to do to change the behavior, including what researchers say to change an actual behavior was sleeping specifically. So, less naps, only drinking coffee before noon. I paid attention to what I was eating as well, not just coffee. So, I ate less sugar so that I wasn't hyper right before bed. I went to bed at the same time every night to create a routine. I tried not to stay up too late. It's hard to do that when you're in college. I also separated school from sleep, so I didn't do homework or Zoom sessions in my bed. So that way, when I went to bed and I was in my actual bed, my mind knew that that was only my sleeping space, and my mind wasn't racing because I was thinking about homework. I also did a really relaxing nightly routine. I have trouble falling asleep. So after I wash my face and do all that, I turn my fan on, my electric blanket on, and rain noises. Like I mentioned before, rain noises are so calming and they put me to sleep right away. So another reason that could have stopped me was because I did all of these things to help me sleep, and I actually ended up sleeping too much. I got way more than 10 hours of sleep every night, and I never felt good about myself. I was just as cranky and tired when I was getting less than 7 hours of sleep. I literally felt the same, and I was sleeping 10 to 12 hours every night and still waking up feeling like I just didn't sleep at all. Um, this made me like take more naps to try to make myself feel better, even though I had already slept so many hours. Um, I learned that too much sleep is actually just as bad as not getting enough. So, the same risk that you can have from not getting enough sleep is a lot of the same risk for getting too much, including heart attacks, heart disease, headaches, depression, fatigue, lower brain functioning, um, difficult multitasking, a lot of confusion, easily being distracted. I felt all of those things. And it kind of reminded me a lot of hypersomnia. So you're tired, then you get slightly sleepy, then you get extremely hyper, which like feels like a sugar crash, and then you get super sleepy enough again. You're like your whole body and face shows that you're extremely tired. You're cranky, and then you feel like you can fall asleep anywhere. I felt like I was going to fall asleep in class all the time. I felt like I was so tired driving. It was miserable. So I tried to change my behaviors again and get a little less sleep, and I always just slept so much. So hypersomnia is getting more than 10 to 12 hours of sleep and still waking up like you didn't sleep at all. Um, Daytime naps, you still don't feel refreshed, which is what happened to me. There's excessive sleepiness. Um, your cognitive functioning goes down. Like I mentioned, your brain functioning goes down. Um, researchers call it sleep drunkenness. So you feel like you're drunk, but it's because of too much sleep. So I probably could have done a lot more things to help my behavior, including like sleeping less and setting alarms maybe to wake me up so I wasn't sleeping so much, not letting myself take naps, doing my schoolwork earlier so I wasn't so stressed. I think stress had a lot to do with this as well. And that's just what happened. And those are my references.